continue our Browns talk. Zac Jackson is out at the owners' meetings in Arizona, and he's going to join us now. I hope he has a better signal than Lloyd had on
Significantly better.
Monday.
Significantly better.
Lloyd's signal was running through the urinal. We couldn't hear him. Video was breaking up. It looked like he was coming from Beirut. And look at this dude.
Look at this guy.
With the pool in the background.
Oh, come on, man.
Zac is not a rookie. So is that your Airbnb pad for the week?
I'm in my sister-in-law's house outside of Phoenix, so there's nothing I love more than talking Browns quarterbacks. So I got up early this morning and said, let's do it.
Did you get your laps in behind you there, Zac, this morning? I mean, goodness. You got...
Not yet. It actually poured rain overnight, which it does like 3 times a year here. So
yeah.
I got my exercise by drying off this area. My laptop is set on top of a box of Modelo, and here we go.
He sent me a picture. I can confirm.
Hopefully some of them were consumed last night. So it's 7:46 in the morning out there for Zac. We want to punch that point. Zac, a couple of things first. We just talked about Todd Monken's comments about who he's seen in the building, who he hasn't seen in the building. Our big takeaway, I think, from that was how transparent that answer was, and we role-played and said how Stefanski would have handled that exact same question, and we would have walked away with zero intel. What do you make of the way Todd Monken handles the media so far?
Well, actually, I was surprised yesterday he wasn't very open.
Really?
By previous standards. Yeah, I thought his answers were short. I thought he seemed tired of talking about quarterbacks already, which I get. But, Todd, when you sign up to coach Cleveland Browns, this is what you talk about every day of the year. So this whole discussion about who's been in the building is completely overblown and absurd. There is no work going on in the building. Anybody that comes into the building is working completely on their own. So when Shedeur makes the choice to come up and visit Todd Monken, that's Shedeur's choice. And when Todd says, I'm not sure who's been in the building, and who hasn't, it's because no one has to be there and because he's been so busy with other things that he might cross paths with guys. But he pretty much told us that he's talked to as many guys on the phone or hasn't even talked to guys on the phone and has texted them and said, I can't wait to meet you in April. Even when they come in next Tuesday, guys, if Shedeur and the quarterbacks want to throw for the first 2 weeks of the program, the coaches cannot be in there. So we're way too much is being made of this. Way too much. I do think that they want Shedeur Sanders to be the quarterback. I do think Shedeur Sanders is going to get every runway and opportunity to be the quarterback. But to act like that there's any leader or that he's the leader because he chose to be in Cleveland for all but 10 days of his offseason and come into the facility most mornings and come upstairs and say hello, that's just getting way ahead of things. And look, this is the environment that the Browns have created, right? Like Deshaun Watson is on the roster and it is completely embarrassing and a joke. And everybody is reading into everything. There's going to be a competition, and it's going to start next week. But it hasn't really started at all, and we're jumping way to conclusions 3, 4, 5 months before we get any real answers on it.
You say it's a joke that he's on the roster. Do you?
Yes.
You believe them, though, when they say that he will be in the running?
I do, Jay. I do. And that's been reinforced in conversations I've had over the last couple of months. I cannot believe that they would want him to go out there. I can't believe they would think that he has any chance to succeed to the level that would help the team. And if he doesn't play at that level, it's going to get ugly. So here's how I translate it. When Jimmy Haslam said that he has a great chance, I think that he meant that he has a great chance to continue to rebound from obviously the injuries in the difficult stretch that he's had. And he has a great chance to revive his career in terms of getting back in a routine, being healthy and being ready if called upon, and then potentially reviving his career somewhere else. So I'm not saying he won't play. He might play, and he might win the job this summer. But like the chances of Deshaun Watson succeeding and staying healthy and elevating this team to any kind of level, we all know are slim and none. And we all know what the reaction is going to be as soon as he plays the way he's played here for 4 years. So this is just a toxic situation if he gets anywhere near the field.
Zac, a year ago at those owners' meetings, they said swing and a miss about Deshaun Watson, and it's kind of signaled to a lot of us the beginning of the end of his tenure with the Browns. Mm-hmm. Their comments this year, were you surprised that they kind of doubled back on that and they're speaking so positively about him at this point?
No, I wasn't really surprised because he's on the team. So what are you going to say? You know, and I'm sure that the Haslams and Watson have talked about that. That was an accurate comment. It is what it is. And Deshaun, they had to clear $35 million in cap space, so they had to restructure Deshaun's contract. He has to be on the team. The contract at this point is untradeable, unmovable. They would have taken an $80 million cap hit to move on from him. So he's there and he has a chance. I have thought all along that there's no way a first-year coach would want to go to battle with this quarterback group. That they are going to battle with this quarterback group says that there is at least some hope for Shedeur Sanders, and it says that it's all about the future. And obviously the most direct way out of this situation is for Shedeur to be a hit. And I don't think anybody knows right now. I do think there is some intrigue, some interest, some confidence in Shedeur, but it really does start over the next few months. That mini camp, the week of the draft, is going to be the first time that the coaches are even allowed to see these guys throw. So what was said about who was there, I mean, Todd was really clear. He met with Deshaun one time, that's it. So it all begins next week when they can have meetings, when they can be around their teammates, and there can be some coaching. But there's not going to be football activity for at least 2 weeks. And then after that, it's only drill work. Like the OTAs don't start until like around May 20th, right? And so on April 1st, that's a long, long way away. And even then, if they have all their OTAs and all their allowed minicamp practices from now until mid-June, guys, that's only 16 practices. And those are all highly restricted, no contact, an hour and a half practices. So yes, you can begin the competition there, and you can start to build your offense there, but you're in no way getting ready or resembling anything that's real game type work.
Zach, would you be surprised if the Browns ended up taking a quarterback in the first round this year?
Yes, I would, Dustin. I believe they've done their work on Ty Simpson. I believe they've done their work on all of these guys, and I think they will have a plan for if Ty Simpson was to fall to a certain point or if the beginning of their draft goes a certain way. But my fairly strong feel right now is they're going to draft a mid-round developmental quarterback. That Ty Simpson is going to go somewhere that's just ahead of their tastes and their situation. Because if you draft him at 24 or even at 28 in the 30s, like that's a pretty strong commitment. It's more than a mild commitment, I should say. So I think it'll be more of a developmental guy to be in the mix. And They want to win games this year. They want to be better. They want this offense, and they believe. I mean, I think one of the actual strongest comments was Todd Monken saying, I have built an elite offensive staff. So they think they're going to see progress. They genuinely, I think, don't know who the quarterback is going to be. But the reality is this team is playing for probably a couple of years down the road. And we're entering a period here, especially with this Myles Garrett contract adjustment going back to September, that the next 4 or 5 months, totally blank slate. In some ways on where this thing can go.
Zach, you bring up Myles. I'd like to get your take on some of the news around him over the last couple of days. We had talked Monday about what the Browns had done and even Andrew Berry's comments. I think it was Mary Kay that really asked him a very pointed question. Can you say unequivocally that Myles is going to end his career here? Of course, the one thing you should never try to do to an owner, a GM, or a head coach is to get them to commit in blood unequivocally anything forever, because as we know, NFL stands for not for long. I had said that I think that this is really a lot about nothing. I think what it does is it gives the Browns options. Should something go haywire and should they decide to move on, I don't think that's in their imminent plans. I just think it gives them a safety net, a parachute, if you will, one they didn't have with Deshaun Watson. That's why we're kind of in this situation with Deshaun Watson. What do you make about all of this Myles Garrett stuff? And are you in the camp that there are no plans, and maybe there will be one day, but right now he's going nowhere?
Yeah, first, Jay, I think it's a fair question because last year Andrew Berry was adamant that they weren't trading Myles Garrett, and they weren't. Teams called and they said, we're not doing it, and they got the deal done before the player movement period started. I still believe that there is no plan to trade Myles Garrett, and they do not want to trade Myles Garrett. But you have to pay attention to what happened here because I agree. I think your take is mostly right. This is about future planning and flexibility. Pushing the option back was not just for this year, it's for future years, and you're not going to pay him upfront money and then trade him if you have another route, right? So I do think it's not what they want to do. And I do think even if it is sort of what they wanted or what Myles wanted, I think it would be very hard to find actual value for this player because he is out of this galaxy, right? So the value would go down each year. I mean, Myles is not average or normal in any capacity, but he is 30 years old. And I think when you look at what the Max Crosby trade brought, how many teams are really all in, And really, I think this ties back to quarterback too, not just Watson in the situation here, but we've seen it, guys. Like on a good day, maybe half the league has the quarterback they need to win, right? It's probably more like 8 or 10 or 12 teams than half the league. So teams that have that, and now the cap is going up every year, if somebody really wants to make that all-in move, and the Browns can say whatever your highest offer is, make it higher, and some team really wants to do that, they'll do that. The chances of that actually, of all of those roads converging at some point in the next 4 months does seem slim. I agree with you. But I think it's also silly to act like the door isn't open on some level.
Zach, the Browns had that proposal if they could trade picks 5 years into the future. That obviously wasn't going to work, so they withdrew it. What do you make of that whole proposal? Was this some kind of ploy that they can trade the farm 5 years into the future for somebody? I tried to reason with this 10 different ways, and I couldn't come up with a good reason of why they would want to do this.
Yeah, I think that they really think that it's best for the league, Chris. I think that they also knew that it wouldn't pass. So I think this was a kind of one of those overblown things that happens just because the league goes quiet for a couple weeks and then the owners' meetings come up. They knew it wouldn't pass. They wanted to get it in the discussion. They'll come back next year and maybe push it to 4 years or maybe with some sort of extra like NBA thing. They really believe that when you look around that this is best for the league, and if teams want to make those trades that they should be able to do it. So
Zach,
there's a small number. Go ahead.
Zach, we have 30 seconds, and we got to ask you about the haircut.
Yeah, what happened?
What happened?
Not your haircut. Todd Monken's haircut.
Todd Monkin was getting a haircut before the picture. There's 2 coaches that missed it. Sean McVay, he was sitting 10 feet away from me in a conference room. He thought the picture was at 12. Todd Monkin thought the picture was at 12. They took the picture about 11:48, and they missed the picture. But that's exactly what happened. Todd Monkin was getting a haircut.
Wow, so I'm blaming the NFL. Don't take the picture 12 minutes early. All right. Hey,
Yeah.
Zach, thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
Enjoy Arizona while you're out there. Thanks for coming on.
See you,
Thanks,
buddy.
guys.